everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the lands of Warhammer Underworlds. We're back, yes, with Wintermaw, the new box set for Warhammer Underworlds that Games Workshop have very kindly sent me early to build up and paint for all of you. And, well, we're going to be kicking things off with the Skinnerkyn, I think is what they're called. Yes, the ghouly ones, the flesh-eater courtsy ones, because, you know, I've been on a bit of a ghouls kick recently. I don't know if you'd noticed. So, we're going to be kicking things off with these guys. And, well, they've all been primed in white scar. Now, there's a couple of things to point out here. Is that, well, 4 of these have pretty much got the same skin colour, albeit some extra blending on the sort of bat-wingy one. And one of them is completely different. And the one that's completely different is, in fact, this one with all the hooks. This guy. Just here. So, we're going to be popping him to one side for the moment. And, well, we're going to be focusing on these 3 and the Batwing. This guy. And, well, as I mentioned, I don't know if I've already mentioned, they've all been primed in white scar. So we're going to grab our paints, grab our brushes, and then we'll be right back with the Skinnerkyn. So to kick things off across all 4 of those miniatures, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking some Gryph-Charger Grey. We're going to be applying this over the top of all of the skin. So with all that Gryph-Charger Grey applied, we're then going to shade all the skin using some Biel-Tan Green. Whilst we're waiting for all that Biel-Tan Green to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to add some Agrax Earthshade over the top of the skin of Captain Hook over here. Now that the Biel-Tan Green is all dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Militarum Green, and on our Batwing here, what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over top of the wings, but we're going to do a little bit of blending. So, the only blending that we're really doing is going to be around on this kind of wing flap here. Membrane sort of flap. So, we're going to take the Militarum Green, and we're going to come in here, and we're going to apply this like so. Over the top of the wing membrane. Like that. Then we're going to wash the brush. Touch off the water. Then we're going to blend it into the bit that we've already done. Like that. And then just over the rest of it, we're going to apply the Militarum Green. So that sort of thing. So with that Militarum Green applied, we're then going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Black Templar and Lahmian Medium. And we're going to apply this over the top of the wings. I'm going to come in here and apply this. Like this. Just avoiding the spines of the wings for the moment. And come into this one and apply this like so. And then in here we're going to apply it. Wash the brush. Touch off the water. And we're once again going to do a little bit of blending. Just in there like that. Then, on the actual spines themselves, we're going to basically do the same thing. We're going to bring it down to that kind of knuckle. Like that. Wash the brush. Touch off the water. And give it a little bit of a blend. And then all that's left to do really is to just catch that little membrane just there. Like that. Just whilst we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to take some Mortarion Grime. I'm going to use this to shade Captain Hook. It's not his actual name, just it feels like it fits. So that done, this is the state of play of things at the minute. They're looking pretty cool. However, it's now time to move on to some different colours. So these are going to kind of be a little bit more generic. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our bat here, as this will give us a kind of good place to do some of the generic colours. And the colour we're going to be using first is Black Legion. I'm going to be applying this over top of any talons, fingernails, toenails, and hair. So, time for a little bit of an update. First up, here is our Batwing. It might be looking a little bit strange at the minute, but don't worry, it's going to be all okay once we get the highlights on. Then we have Captain Hook just here. He's looking thusly. Just going to give a little bit of a focus issue here. There we go. He's looking all right. Next up, we have the leader of the pack, whose name I can't remember, but definitely does have one, as you can see. And then we have our last two. These little gribbly grobblies. There they are. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to take some Cygor Brown, and across these little gribbly grobblies and Captain Hook, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown. We're going to apply this over the top of their loincloths. So with all that Cygor Brown applied, we're then going to take Gore-Grunta Fur. And we're going to use this over the top of any kind of remaining leather bits on the Gribbly Grobblies, as well as over any kind of straps and string on the big lady, whose name I could have just looked up, but I didn't. We're not just going to do one coat here. We're going to do 2 coats of Gore-Grunta Fur. So with those 2 layers of Gore-Grunta Fur applied, we've actually just gone in and added some Cygor Brown to the underside of the skirt just here. What we're going to do next is we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh. We're going to apply this over the top of the rest of her dress. Additionally to that, with the Guilliman Flesh, what we're also going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of the bat ears. And with all that Guilliman Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Ratling Grime. And we're going to apply this over the top of the ropes back here, as well as any wood that's present across any of the models. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 colours, Skeleton Horde and Wyldwood, and we're going to apply this over the top of large bones. So this is going to be on this guy, well, this lady, and this individual here as well. But there are more bones on the other ones. For example, Captain Hook has some. For him, what we're going to do is we're just going to apply the Skeleton Horde on its own. But for these ones, we're going to take Skeleton Horde and Wyldwood. So we're going to start with Skeleton Horde, and we're going to apply this over top of these details. I'm just going to start just here, like so. Apply this all over. Like that. We're then going to wash the brush. Grab a small amount of Wyldwood. And then I'm going to apply this over the top. Down here, like this. Wash the brush once more. Grab a little bit of more Skeleton Horde. And just use this to just smooth those 2 colours together. Like that. So with that then done to the bones, what we're going to do is we're going to take a tiny amount of Wyldwood on its own. And we're going to apply this over the top of the teeth and their eyeballs. And we're going to do this across all 5 of our miniatures here. Just like that. And with that done, we're now going to apply our final base coat, which is going to be some thinned down Iron Warriors. And then apply this over the top of all of the metal work. With all that Iron Warriors applied, we're then going to shade all of the silver using some Agrax Earthshade. So with that Agrax Earthshade applied, our Skinnerkyn are now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. They're looking okay, but we're not going to leave them there. We're going to take them to the next level. We're going to do this by adding some highlights. Now the first of these is going to be some thinned down Deepkin Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the skin of our greeny bluey ones. However, when it comes to this individual here, we're not going to be going on to the kind of darker areas of the wings. So what we're going to be doing is going to be highlighting all this kind of pale area. So with all of that Deepkin Flesh applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh. I'm going to use this on these two individuals. So the Flayed One Flesh is going to be used to highlight her dress and his skin. So we'll demonstrate this on the skin. Take our Flayed One Flesh. Just pick a place to start. I'm just going to start just here. On the shoulder. So with that Flayed One Flesh applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take up our Batwing. I was hoping to avoid that defocus, but there we go. Just happens. So, what we're going to do now on this guy is we're going to take some thinned down Warboss Green. I'm going to use this to highlight the darker parts of the wings. So with that Warboss Green applied, we're then going to take a tiny, tiny little dot of white scar. And we're going to apply this over the top of their eyes. Just like that. So with the whites of their eyes now all done, what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to highlight the hairs and any other black details, such as the talons and fingernails and things like that. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Karak Stone. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our Cygor Brown areas. So with that done, there's only one last highlight left to apply. It's not the last thing we're going to be doing, but there's only one last highlight, which is going to be some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to be using this to highlight all the silver. So with that all done, they're finished. Ish. There's two things left to do. One is to add a little bit of sort of bloody grime to the models and of course the bases. So we're going to start with that bloody grime. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some blood for the blood god. And we're going to use our brush to just apply quite tastefully some of this gunk, as it were. So what we're going to do is going to start, well, I'll do this on this, demonstrate on here. So we're going to apply this in kind of like a little stippling motion around the stump. Like so. What we're also going to do just apply this over the weapons. Just like that. You don't need very much here. If you do it in the kind of direction where it would be chopped, it gives you quite a satisfying little effect on the weapons. Like that. You can also add some of this as little kind of flecks over the dress as well. The easiest thing to do is take some on your brush, just touch it off so you don't have too much. And just gently apply this any way you want. So as previously mentioned, the other area we've got to work on is of course the bases. So the first colour we're going to be using here is some black Templar. I'm going to be applying this over the top of all of the kind of loose soil around all the rocks. So with all that black Templar applied, what we're then going to do is take some Targor Rageshade. I'm going to apply this over top of all the rocks. With that Targor Rageshade all applied, we're then going to take Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of any bones. With that then done, we take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over top of the belt strap and the bit of wood. With that done, we then take some Guilliman Flesh and we apply this over top of the big old hunk of meat just here. And for our final base coat, we take a tiny little bit of Iron Warriors. We apply this over top of the belt buckle. With that then done, we take some Agrax Earthshade. And we're going to apply this over top of the Black Templar, the Targor Rageshade, and over the top of the Iron Warriors. And if you feel like it, you can apply this over the bones as well. You can pretty much just apply this over the top of the entire thing. The only place I would recommend avoiding is that big old slab of meat. And so with that then done, we're going to take some blood for the blood god and we're going to apply this like we did on the models themselves in that kind of stippling motion over the top of the big old slab of meat. Make it a little bit more built up around the bits that have actually been chopped as well. And so finally you'll be shocked to hear we're going to dry brush the entire base using some Tyrant Skull. And thus concludes the Skinnerkyn. So with everything now finished, our Skinnerkyn are finished, ready to take to the depths of the Wintermaw and, you know, get up to no good, I should imagine. They're flesh eater courts. What kind of plan can they possibly have other than to
find food, you know, the food you don't necessarily want to give up. I've really enjoyed painting Fleshy to Courts, and we're probably done for a little while here now, but what a way to cap it off now. They look great.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.